The Rattler is currently viewed as a meme gun in Ark Raiders. The only reason you'd see it is because you spawned in a free loadout with it. But it isn't actually as bad as you think. Once you get over the reload, you'll find that it's a good for general play, takes off armour well, and handles wasps and hornet just as good as any other gun. It can also stand on its own 2 feet against other raiders. Today, I'm going to give a deep dive into the Rattler and hopefully convince you that behind the terrible reload, there's actually a good gun waiting to be used. Let's get into it. First off, let's address the elephant in the room, the reload and magazine. At base, the Rattler spawns with 12 bullets, and the mag increases by 4 at every level. So 12, then 16 at level 2, 20 at level 3, and finally 24 at level 4. It takes 1 second to load 2 bullets, so this means a Rattler 4 will take 12 seconds to fully reload. Unfortunately, there is no way to increase the reload speed, and to me it's one of its main drawbacks, but I'll speak about this later. The reload animation can be cancelled by either firing or aiming down sights. Speaking of aiming down sights, it will take a full second for the accuracy cone to fully scope in. This can be reduced with mods like vertical grip free, padded stock, things like that. Speaking of mods, they do make a world of difference. Even using grey mods, I found a noticeable difference in the gun's handling, but the sweet spot for me was green mods. Using green mods made it feel like a proper assault rifle, so green compensators, stable stock 2, things like that. If you really want to see it shine, however, I would really suggest putting a vertical grip 3 on it. This reduces the vertical recoil by 40% and the ADS speed by 30%. It really makes the gun shine and it feels great. Add any compensator to this and you'll have an absolute laser beam on your hands. At a baseline, you want to run a Rattler 3, as 1 and 2 doesn't put out enough damage to take things out before you have to reload. It would of course be better to use a Rattler 4, but at the very least you should aim to use a Rattler 3. This way you'll be able to take out a wasp or a hornet without reloading, as long as you're aiming for the sweet spots. For Ark, it handles all the small and flying arcs no problem. It's good for hornets and wasps, as long as you're aiming for their turbines. I even managed to take out a couple of shredders with it, and had no issues whatsoever. For the larger Ark, it's actually surprisingly good for stripping away armour. I took down a Bastion using only a Rattler to take down its legs, and then, when it was keeled over, I would switch to a Stitcher to hit the core. By the way, if you need help on how to take down a Bastion yourself, I did a full guide on what works best, link will be in the description. The durability is great. I don't know if it's because it's a common gun and they just last longer, but I played 67 games with one Rattler 4 and only went down to 22 durability out of 130. So this means that the actual material economy for using the Rattler is fantastic. To fully upgrade the Rattler to level 4, it's going to cost you 10 metal, 10 rubber, 6 mechanical components and 2 simple gun parts. And it also costs 16 metal and 12 rubber to create it. But you can easily get one with a free loadout. I feel like free loadouts are weighted towards Rattlers. Does anyone else have this experience? I think I've went 5 in a row for spawning with Rattlers on free loadouts. It's ridiculous. Anyway, just please remember as well to upgrade your guns before using them, as this will give you the most usage out of it. So I've talked about the good. Now, let's talk about where the Rattler really falls short, and that is in prolonged engagements. Taking 12 seconds to fully reload really hurts the Rattler's viability in situations where you get swarmed by the Ark. In this clip, I ran into multiple Ark at the same time, and I was caught out of position with very little cover, and I couldn't finish off this hornet as I had to keep reloading, leading to a death. In duos and trios, it will suffer too, as these have multiple raiders in the same engagement, so you're going to end up finding yourself reloading when somebody pops out and takes shots at you. While we're on the subject of PvP, let's quickly touch on how the Rattler performs. It does have a decent time to kill, and it can down a raider very quickly, depending on how many headshots you get, But again, for times when there's more than one raider, they're going to get caught out by the long reload speed. Positioning is really key to using the Rattler, I've discovered. If you find yourself in a good position, the Rattler is going to really perform well. But in situations where you're caught out, if you don't have the Rattler fully reloaded, you're going to find yourself in a one-way ticket back to Speranza. I think if Embark added something for the Rattler to get a faster reload, then we would start to see it a lot more often topside. As the gun, it's great, but it's really held back by that reload speed. So my idea is, imagine a legendary mod that you could fit into the grip that could allow you to load 4 bullets at a time instead of 2. This would halve the reload speed on the Rattler. It doesn't make it instantaneous like say a Stitcher, but it would still greatly increase the reload speed, making the Rattler much more viable. The only gun that's got a specific legendary mod tied to it is the Anvil, and it's got the splitter mod that turns it into a shotgun. I feel like Embark's got a lot of space to add more of these legendary weapons that are specific to guns, so hopefully we'll see more of this kind of stuff in the future, and the Rattler gets something to make the reload speed not as terrible. Just quickly, if you're enjoying the video, feel free to show some love, likes, comments, even subscribe, all that YouTube algorithm stuff. It really helps me out, and I would greatly appreciate it. Love you lots. Cheers. So where does the Rattler fit in the grand scope of the Arc Raider weapons? Well, I like to think it's a cheap version of the patina. The Rattler fills the same role as the patina for a lot less materials. It's good for taking off armour, does surprisingly well in PvP, but it does chew through ammo like the patina does. I've already done a deep dive into the patina, and even after the buff, I feel like it still requires too many materials and ammo to fulfill its purpose. The Rattler, however, doesn't have these problems. It can take off armour like the patina, but you can hold twice the amount of ammo for it. Its medium ammo stacks in lots of 80, whereas heavy ammo stacks in lots of 40. It does good damage to raiders too, like the patina, but you won't be as annoyed for losing it if you lose your gunfight, as it's a common weapon and easily replaced. For me, I think the Rattler's just a good, versatile gun. Good for dealing with the smaller arc. It's okay at dealing with raiders. The reload really hinders it, but this could be overcome with good positioning and keeping tabs on your magazine. It actually shines in bringing it in for a solo Stella Montis run, because 90% of the people in Stella Montis run a free loadout, and if you go in with a Rattler 4, you're going to out DPS 90% of the player base in Stella Montis. You can also deal with all the arc in Stella Montis, no problem. Pops, fireballs, wasps, hornets, even the shredder. It's no problem at all for the Rattler. And that's it. Hopefully I've convinced you to try out the Rattler. It's definitely not as bad as everyone says it is. I think it's just getting a bad rap because the Rattler 1 is absolutely terrible. And because you get it in free loadouts, that's the only experience people have with it, and they've not really tried it at its full max potential. If you enjoyed the video, as I said previously, feel free to show some love. And if you like what I do, please subscribe. I do Arc Raiders content once or twice a week, and I've got plenty more coming. All the best. Cheers.